Welcome to the Root Zone Podcast with Chris Stout, owner of Stout Lawn Care. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the Root Zone Podcast right now. And here's your host, Chris Stout.
Here we are, episode 5 of the Root Zone Podcast. Brad is with me again. Hello, Brad. How are you doing today, sir?
Hey, Chris. How you doing?
Great. I am so excited to have our next guest. So through the first couple episodes, we've done some owners, some line level employees. So we kind of talked about the C word, not the bad C word, but the culture word. So we dove into all that stuff, and I'm really excited to have our next guest, Chris Lerch. We're going to dive a little bit more into the marketing and how you can invest in the community, which will in turn invest in your business. And Chris Lerch, thank you so much for being here. I think this is going to be fun.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me. I'm excited. I'm a little nervous, but I'm excited.
Nah, no nervous. Trust me, it'll be gone in 2 seconds. So, Chris, please tell everybody about yourself first. I know you have two kids?
Two kids.
So tell us a little bit about yourself, a little bit about your personal life, what you do, and then we'll get into 422.
Yeah, so I've got two kids, a 7-year-old and a 4-year-old, and I'm not a soccer player, but I somehow ended up becoming travel soccer coach with my daughter's team. So right now I'm coaching 11, 6, and 7-year-old girls, on the field 2 days a week and a game once a week. So you can imagine attention spans and, how that goes. And I tell the girls each week my main rules for when we're playing soccer is no cartwheels, no back bridges, and no piggyback rides, because that seems to be the most popular things at practice.
Gotcha.
That's going well. I love doing anything with my kids, especially if it's something active. So, I put that ahead of anything else, is being involved with whatever activities they're doing and getting them involved in a lot of activities. But, and that's because I grew up with two brothers. I was always super active. We were always outside doing something. I still play competitive roller hockey. I officiate hockey. And if I'm ever with family or friends, if someone wants to shoot around a basketball or do anything, play wiffle ball or anything.
Yeah, we're doing can jam. We're doing something.
Yeah, I'm definitely, and I'm probably taking it a little too serious because I'm trying to compete out there. I'm still trying to win, whether it's horse or...
See, we're already learning stuff. I didn't know you were that. I didn't know you were a competitive person.
Man. And, not to toot my own horn, but I'm one of those kind of good at everything I do sports. So it doesn't matter what I'm playing. Like if it's pickleball or if it's horse
You're the same as
or whatever.
Me, Chris. I mean, I'm pretty good at everything I do. I always come in second or third place though. I never climbed.
That means you just never found your one niche sport that you're really good at.
No, I found it.
Jack of all trades.
Just weren't the best.
I couldn't go to college. My grades weren't good.
Jack of all trades, master of none.
Exactly.
Yeah, there you go.
Exactly.
That's all right. That's
Nice. So married, 2 kids. That's awesome.
Yep.
7 and 4. That's a busy time.
It is.
I have Jack, who's just turning 6, and Sammy's turning 4, and Jack's doing baseball right now. And I told myself for years that I wouldn't coach anything my son or my daughter had to do with it. But I've been to 4 practices and 2 games, and I will be coaching his baseball game again next year.
Yeah.
Just because you're the same way. I'm a competitive person.
Yep.
I grew up playing baseball. I know how it should be taught, and it's just tough to watch someone that is not in tune with how 6-year-olds think.
Yeah.
And trying to do batting practice one at a time with 6-year-olds just doesn't work. You have to create some sort of game to educate them.
And then you'll get sucked in and you'll be coaching it for the next 6 years probably.
It's my biggest fear is the domination of travel youth sports right now. Is the weekends, my business partner Steve, his daughter's in swimming and it's 5 nights a week.
Yeah. Well, I'm in my full-time profession. I'm in youth sports and adult sports. I manage an indoor sport facility. I oversee 3 of them actually. So I've been around the behemoth that's youth sports and travel youth sports for, 15 years. So, I see firsthand how much of a commitment, what kind of money parents are spending on it, how it eats up all the weekend time and traveling here and there and, all the little things to get your kid that little advantage. So it's, I see it firsthand how much youth sports becomes all consuming.
Well, I think, we're probably going off a little tangent here, but it bothers me. Not bothers me because I think, like you said, I like my kids being active, but I think there is a line that is sometimes crossed when you come to this early teenage, this 12, 13-year-olds that are playing 4 nights a week and going away to play baseball for 2 straight days. I mean, no offense to 90% of these kids, but I think if they love it, I get it. Like, and I guess I'm early in my fatherhood, so I probably could change my tune in 5 years from now. But I just see a lot of it. And I see a lot of parents being stressed. I see a lot of kids being stressed about how much they actually have to do.
And a lot of those kids will probably burn out on that sport. I think the biggest difference I see compared to when I was a kid, when we were kids, is that multi-sport athlete. Every season it was a different sport, but now, I mean, by the time you're 10 years old, you pretty much got to be committed to a sport.
Doing off-season programs and stuff.
So you get one-dimensional athletes who don't get a chance to hone certain skills during that off-season when normally I'm a baseball player, but during the winter I'm going to play basketball.
Yeah. I mean, that's how I grew up as we were 3-sport athletes, basketball, football, baseball. That's how, football in the fall, basketball, and whatever. It was lacrosse or wrestling. A lot of our friends wrestled. And then they did lacrosse in the spring, so. But anyway, let's get to it. This is not a youth sports.
It could be. That could be the next one.
Could be.
But anyway, so Hello422. That's why I got you on here. Let's talk about a little bit about marketing, where this idea came up with. Since this is a podcast that's going out worldwide. Let's kind of explain what Hello422 is. It's kind of a confusing name unless you live around what 422 is. So. Do us a favor, Chris. Explain what the idea is and where it came about, basically.
Sure. So first, had I known Hello422 would have become as popular as it has in the last 3 years, I probably would have picked a different name for it. I feel like it's almost like that musical group who picked a name when they were in high school.
Yeah.
And then weren't really expecting to get big, and then they got big and they're stuck with this name. So I might have picked something different, but so going back, so it was the start of the pandemic. We are, March, April, pandemic just rolling out, super scary time for a lot of people, and businesses were literally, all of a sudden had to be shut down. Like recreational businesses, me being in the sportsplex industry, we were one of the first to, we got closed doors and figure out what's going on. Restaurants couldn't do dine in. You're only doing takeout. Salons didn't know how to operate with being close contact. So all of a sudden you saw all of these small businesses so negatively impacted, whether it was completely closed or operating to just a very small percentage of what they were doing before. And I'm meanwhile sitting at home because my sport facility's closed. So I'm just doing daddy daycare at the time. And I'm not one of those people who can just sit around doing nothing. So I'm like, how can I be involved? What can I do? I had a number of small business friends and within a network, people that I knew from the area. And I saw all of them struggling, and then all of them doing the same thing. A restaurant, buy a $50 gift card, get a free $10 gift card on top of it. Or buy certain salon products, get, this item free, or all these little one-off little discounts, promotions to try to spark any sort of sales. And that's great, but everyone was doing it and nothing was big to be able to capture an audience. Because remember, a lot of people were scared at this time, Pandemic had just rolled out. Nobody really knew.
Just literally scared to go out.
Exactly.
So to go to get in your car and go to, I was a little less scared than most. And I remember when it first hit, I went to 3 or 4 local beer, breweries, and picked up a bunch of beer and drove it to my father-in-law's house because he didn't they weren't leaving the house. And I was like, well, you need craft beer. So I'm going to go get you some. I'll wear a mask. I'll brave it. But it just leads to your point that people, it was scary because people weren't and doing nothing. And to thank God on my end, my green industry, you want to call it, landscaping profession, we were exempt because they considered us essential services. And that was my first year I opened Stout Lawn Care was the pandemic year. So I walked into with, all the debt of the trucks and starting your own business and blah, blah, blah. And then, the U.S. government was like, we might shut everything down. That was a wild time for me. So, but going back, so you started this and where did it really start? Where was the fire? Where did it spark?
Yeah. So, again, I was looking back at all these promotions businesses were doing, spend a certain amount, get, a little gift card. And I was like, if there was some way to combine forces with all these small businesses to create some sort of big incentive or some flash to get more purchases at these small businesses, maybe I could help bring all these businesses together on some big incentive. So I came up with this idea called Shop Small to Win Big. The concept was that I would try to get small businesses to each contribute $100 in gift cards. And then over the course of a week-long period of time, anyone who spent $50 at one of the participating businesses could be entered in to win all of the gift cards. So I'm thinking, all right, maybe I can get 20 businesses. If they each donate a $100 gift card, that would be a $2,000 prize in gift cards. So all right, well, $2,000, that might be enough to incentivize people okay, I'm going to order out tonight.
Well, it's totally different than like you said, the earlier ones, the $10 off
right.
or 5% off or 10% or $50 gift card. I mean, $2,000 in gift cards, it's like a whole Christmas basically.
Yeah, so that was my goal. Let's get 20 businesses. 2,000 sounds like a good amount. I had some experience on social media, so I could make an event page for it and help promote it. And little did I know, I ended up with 86 participating businesses. So the prize ended up being $8,600 in gift cards. And throughout the course of the 7 days, the event brought in more than $83,000 spent at those businesses.
Yeah.
I had
gives me the chills.
Yeah,
honestly.
Over 1,000 receipts submitted to. You should have seen my email box during this week. It was a good thing I wasn't working at the time, because all I was doing was going through emails, logging them into a Google sheet of so-and-so shopped here, spent this amount on this date, and organizing all this. I didn't expect, for it to take off like this. The event page on Facebook went crazy, and it really just brought this huge awareness to these small businesses. And then to cap it off at the end of the event, the woman who won, so then I did this big Facebook Live to reveal, I had 1,000 people logged into this Google Sheet. I did a Facebook Live. I talked about the event. I mentioned some sponsors that we had, the businesses, how amazing it was. And again, this is still all during the heart of the pandemic.
Yep.
This is within that first month. The woman who ended up winning of the $8,300 in gift cards, she ended up keeping about 3,000 of it. The other 5,300 she donated to local nonprofits, charities, different groups, because again, everyone was struggling. There was a lot of need for it.
Yeah.
So, it was the absolute perfect ending to the perfect event. And it got some newspaper coverage. There was not one shred of negativity about the event. It was just such a positive thing during an uncertain time.
Yeah.
So then immediately after the event, I have businesses. How do I become part of this? Mm-hmm. So I think it was within a month.
Ding, 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 Stout Lawn Care.
Yeah, you're probably one of them that had been contacted.
What did you get out of that initial offering? What were you getting personally from a business perspective? Was there any advantage? Were you going into this just I just want to help. This may lead to nothing. But at the end of this, of course, we're fast forwarding because you've done stuff going forward. But at that point, you're at ground zero, going from 0 to 1. What are you hoping to get in between that step? Yeah,
I had no intention for it besides to be a little event to hopefully increase sales for businesses. I didn't charge a fee for the businesses to participate. There was nothing for me. I was just, I'm going to give my time to this cause because I think it's worthy. And again, I also had some free time on my hands because I wasn't working, and I just needed to be participating and helping out in some way. And yet I didn't think it was going to lead to over 1,000 receipts I had to go through. I thought it was going to be a smaller endeavor, but I was hype about it. I was excited. You see, so I'm sitting there the first day. So it started on Monday, and Monday, a lot of small businesses are closed to begin with. So it's a slower day for sales, and I have no idea. I know I got 86 businesses. Yeah. I know it's a big prize, but you're sitting there all right, am I going to get any emails? And that was boom, got an email. Oh, okay, there's a $100 gift card that someone purchased. Boom, there's another one. And all of a sudden, the first day there was, the whole event picked up momentum as it went, but there was a few $1,000s in purchases on a Monday. And I was great, if we average this out, that's going to be $20,000 for the week.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, Tuesday it picked up. Wednesday it picked up. And by the time you got to the weekend, it was, again, I'm saying email ping, 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 ping as these are coming in of receipts. Again, I was just excited that it worked because I put a lot of effort into setting it up. So if it didn't pan out, I would have been just disappointed in myself.
And that's the scary thing to do, because any small business, when you put all that effort, set up the page, you visited, these people now, and it to fall on its ass would suck, oh, now what do I do with all these, you got 14 entries, that would be terrible. But what I want to like transition into is how it's turned into what it is today, right? So you started that, and then it went right into the Hello422 page, right? You started that page immediately, or was that the name of it really?
Yeah. So in order to create the event page, I needed to have, like a business page on Facebook first. So I created Hello422, and that's basically for, people who aren't local to this area. There's a major, highway, Route 422, and Hello422 focuses on the towns connected by Route 422. So it's essentially mostly concentrated on Pottstown to Royersford to Limerick to Phoenixville to Collegeville.
So about 10-mile strip?
Sure,
yep. 422.
Yeah, yep, and then a little north and south of those areas, but that's the main concentration.
And when you started, you had how many businesses? Did that? So that tip campaign that you did, that jump started Hello422 kind of, and then you started to roll with it, right?
The shop small to win big.
Yeah, shop small to win big, because my next one is the tip campaign came along. What from that point, where did you want to go with it from there? You're like, hey, this was a success. Maybe it's a business venture. Maybe it's a continued awesome community thing. Like, where to go?
So at this point, I was still just 100% riding on the emotion of this event was super successful. How do I replicate it? And we'll get to this point, I'm sure, in the discussion, but I mean, it wasn't until probably like a year to a year and a half later that I was finally like, this has at this point morphed into an actual business. Like, I believe I ended up doing 3 or 4 shop small to win big events within that first year that were still all just, let me get as many businesses who want to participate. I'm going to donate my time, and let's just be impactful. Because again, it's still the heart of the pandemic. I mean, it's still, these businesses are closed or still only doing takeout. So it was for quite a while. It was still just, how do I be impactful? And between those shop small to win big events, I started to do the spotlights of small businesses on my social media too. Yep. So it wasn't just the event pages. It was each day I would pick, 3 to 5 small businesses and put some sort of content on my Facebook and Instagram pages, just again to show people what's out there. And I mean, at this point, I might have a few hundred followers, not like what I have now. But
yeah.
What does that mean, put content? Were you getting video or taking stock photos, writing something? What were you putting out for these businesses?
So for this, I tried to follow as many of the small businesses as I could on Facebook and Instagram. And as they would post good content, I would go on and share their images or their stories. But I always tried to do it in a very organic way and not like I wasn't posting flyers they created or all like sales. It was more like, this is an awesome picture of a burger. Remember this, this place is right here. Things that would just, so people wanted to interact with my page.
And you see, you played it right, because I think, I want to like bring this together to the podcast, obviously, but you do a lot of things that I think that other businesses don't do. You're very relatable in all your posts. Mm-hmm. It's never a flyer, like you said. It's never come here, 10% off burger on a Wednesday. No, it's look at this effing good burger. This thing's gonna go down good with a huge craft beer, right? Yep. And it's a promotion of some sort. But when I saw you started to post that kind of stuff, I was like, I have to be less pushy in my business, not just trying to sell something on social medias. Just be yourself on social medias and like be fun, be entertaining, show the businesses of like who they are and what they're actually doing compared to like. Of course, you can sell pizza, you can sell a cheesesteak, you can sell beauty products. All that stuff comes down to like, you want to sell it. We want to be out there, but we don't want to be in your face selling it.
Yeah, you don't want to be intrusive. And you don't want to be forcing it down someone's throat. You want it to be something a post that they want to consume, they want to read, they want to like it, they want to share it. And there's definitely a way to do that. Every time you throw in a website or a phone number or even pose a question in your post, I mean, we all know about the algorithms on Facebook and Instagram. Anytime you do those type of things, you're automatically setting your post up, to fail. Let that picture and that, whether it's a snarky comment or, just something clever, let that be what attracts people in. And then they're going to be able to click to visit that page and find all the information that they need to get.
Yeah. Yeah, the click through.
Did you learn that prior to this? Was that a trial and error? Where did that mindset start for you in this process?
So I'm a marketer. That's what my profession is. So with the indoor sport facilities, I'm the director of marketing. So I'm in that field, but I think because of how Hello422 started, and again, it wasn't set up as a way to do anything except promote businesses. I wasn't trying to get businesses to pay me money to do posts for them. I just posted how I normally talk, how I normally interact with people, and how I would want to view this content. I just structured it that way, and I think because of that, it was very authentic, and I think that's what really people just latched onto.
Yeah, the art of the non-sale for the sale.
Yeah,
which
correct.
is how the whole process started in the first place. Why I asked that, because the whole thing of not charging anyone to take part in this in the first place is the same mentality of, now I'm going to share the content to people that aren't actually sharing any, or not actually selling anything. And then the rewards come back in multiples for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then from like a business side, as far as like a marketing side, when I looked at Hello422, I looked at it, as well as I do, and Brad knows, and we've had this discussion on this podcast, is like I look at marketing, I think, a lot differently than other companies. Maybe I don't. Maybe I hope people have the same mindset. Is more of like the local community, sponsor the softball teams, sponsor the baseball teams, do the youth programs, do the golf outings, be a broad spectrum of sponsorships, and you're going to get it back. It's not, everyone wants to give Google the money or give a flyer or a every door direct mail. They want to spend this and get 1-2% return. I know I can click this, and that was the sale because of this. And I think when I first met you, Chris, and we were introduced to Jim Crawford, a good friend of ours, who's a realtor, and he's probably the best like networker I've probably ever met in my life. But he introduced me to you, and when we got together, I was kind of more of like, cool, let's do this because I want to support the community. Like, I was at the time I was living in Royersford, so right down, like, it was the heart of where it was all going on, and it was just a no-brainer for me to say, okay, let's do this, let's have fun. And then the way, like you said, the way you post and the way I post, I think was a match, right? We wanted to be Stout Lawn Cares. Yeah, we want to green grass made easy. We want to sell you lawn care, but that's not what our social media pages are for.
Right.
Our social media pages are for so you get an inside look of who we are, and then leads me all the way back to the whole culture and like being a good the C word. I hate the C word, Brad. We always talk about the culture word. It's like overdone.
We need
right?
a C word bell.
We do. We need like a dong, like more cowbell. But it's so overdone. And you've had now, I mean, hundreds of businesses you work with now. How many are we up to that kind of participate in the Facebook page?
So I would say I have small businesses with like year-long contracts with me. I have close to 100. Each Shop Small to Win Big event I do now, which is it's just an annual event, normally gets at least 120 businesses to participate. And I have a ton of little one-off campaigns and things that there's other businesses that participate in. So I mean, throughout the course of the year, I may work with 250 to 300 different small businesses on something, whether it's one little small event or one-off thing or a post, or if it's ones that every month I'm helping to promote, or even now there's businesses I help run their social media accounts.
And that's kind of like, Chris helped us for a little bit with our social media account, kind of gave us the footprint of how and scheduling, and then Steve, my business owner, took it over and has been killing it ever since. But I wanted to, like, you mentioned now you have all these 120 businesses, and we're a sponsor of Hello422 and on all the stuff you do. But I want to make it clear to our audience, like, how important I think it is what you do, because we don't necessarily see direct sales from, oh, I heard you on Hello422 or this Facebook page or this Instagram page. We have a general like consensus in a community that Stout Lawn Care is the lawn care provider in this area. And the cool part is that because we've been with you for 3.5, 4 years now, we have a great relationship with the fence company. We have a great relationship with the plumbing company. Now, it sounds small, like, and I want the audience to realize how actually big it is, because now not only are we getting shared on Hello422, we're getting shared on Avanti Plumbing, we're getting shared on Royersford Fence Company. Like, we are being seen by thousands more people because of your page, right? So I want to encourage everyone out there to find a Chris Lerch, find someone, or be that person in your community doing stuff like this, promoting local businesses, sharing your local businesses. As annoying it is, get on your phone every night and like the Instagram pages, share the content, comment, do the things, because we have gotten referrals, and I bring up Royersford Fence Company only because we've gotten 2 direct referrals from him, and he's never installed a fence for us, right? I know what kind of work he does. I see it all the time. I know the guy personally. I've met him a couple times, but he's referred us. So that's why I'm so excited to have you on here, is like, you can kind of attest to that. And do you have any success stories out there of, like, I know you've gotten an email from businesses that said thank you. I mean, probably in tears, right? Probably saying in those months of how hard it was, you said $80,000 in the first tip camp, or the first camp, or the first
Shop Small to Win Big.
Yep. What are some of the success stories? Do you think you've saved some businesses? Don't be modest. It's okay. People want to hear it, because there's people out there that should start one of these pages in Illinois, in Florida, it can be impactful not only for the community, but for your business. So what are some of the success stories?
I mean, in particular, looking back at that first Shop Small to Win Big event, I had one particular business, JJ Radigan's brewery in Pottstown, who they were comparing their revenue from the week prior to Shop Small to Win Big to Shop Small to Win Big. And I had about $5,000 worth of receipts just for that business during the event. And talking to them, they did $5,000 more in sales during that week than they had the previous week. So like, it was, especially back then, like, this event was what got them those sales.
Yeah. And if I remember, JJ's was brand new, right? They were just getting started. They had just
recently opened as well.
Yeah.
I mean, there's, I feel so fortunate because now I have these great relationships with so many business owners. And in my mind, I view a lot of them as like celebrities. Like, I'm close with Anna Marie of Anna Marie's, some of these people who I always viewed as like, these people have legitimate small businesses that have been a main part of these communities for such a long period of time. And now I have great relationships with them. We talk often, and yes, a lot of them thank me, profusely over and over again. And that's amazing to hear, because you want to hear that what you're doing is impactful. And, I love hearing that. And yeah, there are a lot of businesses. And one thing you said that was never something that was even on my radar for Hello422 was that aspect of connecting some businesses together. Almost like what a chamber of commerce does, where it's, more of a networking event for business owners.
Have you ever been to one of those events?
I have. I've been to many.
Do you know how painful they are? Like, I'd rather shove a fork.
No comment.
No, don't no comment me. This is not the podcast for no comments. They are...
That's his honeypot,
Listen,
man.
And I'm not gonna.
That's where you go fishing.
I'm not gonna call out anyone, because I've been a part of them in every business. Even when I was in the restaurant business, we were a part of them, and they are terrible. They're terribly run, and they're boring. And go ahead. Brian.
Well, I'll say this. Someone that's done like there's someone that's done like local business promotion, and I've been mainly focused on the video aspect. I have found, and I think this is more of what the Chamber of Commerce type of stuff it lends to. It's a different generation of promotion. And so when you're talking about, it's like incredible the numbers that you're talking about that you brought together to be part of this, because to get that many businesses to buy into something digital is really huge. You've talked a lot about mailers, Chris.
Yeah.
And in the industry, it's just something that it seems like everyone does. Everyone just puts money into it. But the idea to get that many businesses involved in digital, because the Chamber of Commerce, for the most part, does not promote that sort of thing, because they don't have the possibility to do it in mass for 100, 150, 200. They're used to sending out designs to a print company.
Not even that, but the Chamber of Commerce is usually so political. It's like a little government, right?
Yeah, and
it's
they have
like
a
this,
board of directors.
and it's like this. Oh, if you got this one plumber, you can't have another plumber. But guess what? This one plumber, he focuses on drains and plumbing. Well, this plumber focuses on HVAC, but they can't be part of the same commerce.
Well, they're paying. You know what happens a lot? I mean, at least my experience is that they go, why am I paying to be a part of this if someone who does similar or exact same thing is already paying? Who are you going to focus on? And I think in that small world, when you're providing something other than just the name on the list, you're providing a real service that gets out there to people. I think you can get, I mean, I don't know. I think you can lay off of those sensitivities a little more.
Yeah.
You know, I was actually denied from joining one local chamber of commerce. I don't know if it's because they saw Hello422 as a threat to what they're doing, because I was this one-man volunteer operation, you know, making a big impact, when all of a sudden all the chambers had to, you know, scrap their events, you know, their meet and greets, you know, and all that. And I'm sure people were wondering, well, what are my fees going to now that, you know, we're not doing all these things? And I totally get that. And, you know, I'm one of the most respectful people. But like I had other chambers of commerce that I joined just because for the networking ability that welcomed me in. Like, we love what you're doing. I had one that was just, you know, well, you know, they put it to a vote with their board of directors, and I was told I was, you know, in my mind, an ad agency, denied from joining.
How many groups do you have to work with along 422? You said one denied, but others. How many chamber of commerces are you dealing with?
So there was a point in time where I think I was in maybe 3 or 4 chambers of commerce, just because I tried to join, you know, in each of the towns that offered them. And I do think there's a place for chambers of commerce, and I think some are much more proactive in what they do, and some are a little bit more, you know, again, I think it's a different generational thing, and some are, you know, adapting, and some maybe not so much. But after doing a year in most of the chambers, I realized it wasn't, you know, I didn't get as much out of it, and, you know, there wasn't a lot of events to attend, and, you know, I had my own ways of meeting business owners. And honestly, at this point you know, people know me, and if I need to meet someone, I can ask one of my business contacts, can you intro me to so-and-so?
And well, from what I remember, it was like you had to like attend, like it was like a Wednesday lunch you had to go to at the Hilton Garden Inn, or like, and you've made it we'll call it your networking group. You've made it accessible for all these businesses to kind of work on their time and to kind of get together virtually and digitally, compared to having to go somewhere and meet and exchange business cards. I don't know. It's just
right. And to be very clear, I concentrate just on the small businesses. So, you know, a chamber, you could have probably like the local Applebee's join the chamber if they want, or, you know, some mega company, and that's fine. Like I get it, but, you know, I had Boston Market reach out to me to do promotion for one of the new spots they were opening, fairly local. And I was like, no, you know, that's not what I do. Do you know what my page is?
Yeah.
Like, so I actually
be like selling out.
Yeah. I actually just had a movie theater reach out to me today. This is under new ownership, and they wanted to get promotion. The first thing I just asked was, you know, I'm not super familiar with you. What's the ownership group? Because I don't know if it's kind of a local group or if it's part of some, you know, big chain. I do have some
equity firm that bought them up.
And listen, I have some chains like you know, Donut NV, which you know, got its roots started in this area. Now they're across the country, but it's owned by a local guy who hires local people, and I have a few of those that I promote. So there's room for some franchises and things like that. But, you know, I'm never gonna promote, you know, I'm not going to promote Chick-fil-A.
No.
You know, I'm going to promote,
they don't need it. That
you know, Stonehouse Grill's chicken sandwich.
Yeah, absolutely. You know? Any bad stories that have come about in these last 4 years? Anything that you're like, oh man, that was not the business? Because like now I'm getting to know a lot of these business owners. I try to, you know, you've made me a lot more conscious about where I eat and where I should eat, and like trying to stop in. So Big Phil's, like I know, like I try to stop in all these places. But I don't know. You've ran into a lot of business owners. Not everybody's nice. Not everybody's friendly. Did people like, hey, this didn't work? Like, I want my money back, or.
I mean, there's always one or two businesses that don't renew for whatever reason, and there's one or two businesses that you lose too because unfortunately they go under. I just had, two big businesses that I work with, Stickman Brews.
Yep.
Who just closed, and I was really close with them. I'm a huge craft beer guy, and that's really the brewery that got me introduced to craft beers. So I'd actually known about them closing for a while. And they just made it public. And then Beverly's Pastry Shop in Pottstown, which another one, I think, she has her reasons for why she's shutting that down. But you lose some because of that. In terms of bad story, I mean, really that Chamber of Commerce thing really kind of ruffled me the wrong way. Like, I don't really hold grudges, but I was just like, I knew it was exactly because they felt intimidated by what I did, which they shouldn't have. It should have been, and I had reached out to Chambers before when I did these Shop Small to Win Big events. I'm like, you should put this out to your members. Yeah. This is a free opportunity for them to gain some sales. And some of them did it and some of them didn't, probably because they were like, well, we're not doing this. And, we probably could handle this. We have a team of people, but and this is just one guy.
It's kind of similar. Like you're saying, like it's an old school thought, and it's kind of like the direct mail, like Stout Lawn Care. I think a lot of businesses, not just lawn care, but even Avanti or plumbing or they're getting, I don't know. I see a lot less of those direct mailers in the mail and more Facebook posts and Instagram posts and Google stuff. Like it's starting to drift by the wayside, is like that kind of mentality of like business cards, handing those out and flyers. It's just not how people, we're getting to that age, but now we grew up in that digital age. Now those people are making the decisions in their household. They're buying bigger and better houses, and they want this, and they want to take their family out for dinners. They're not finding it through. No one is looking at flyers anymore. And the only time we get a response from a flyer is someone that's over 65 years old. It's just how it is. And I encourage everyone out there to think about doing something like this page, like a community event page. There's a lot of guys that are doing great social media work, but it's not work. They're like, I'm not getting any return. Well, you got to have a lot of connections. You got to have a lot of shares. You got to have a lot of businesses that are sharing your stuff.
Yeah, what's the responsibility for the businesses on their end once they start working with you?
I mean, I have the sweetest gig ever with it because I would say 99% of the businesses I work with are just totally hands off. They trust exactly what I'm doing, and they say, go on each month, find something you want to share and write whatever you want.
Nice.
Just have at it. And I think, again, that's what I've built, and they see, the type of posts I make, and they just trust me with that. I have like 2 or 3 clients who each month they might have something specific that they want promoted, but again, they know I don't post flyers. They know it. Every now and then you guys have one, but I still frame it my own way. That's all right. But there's a couple that like want something specific, and that's fine. I tell everyone right up front, if there's something very specific you want, I say, I won't post a flyer, so it's got to be, a good picture. And I say that I don't like to do sales and things like that because that's not what my page is for.
Right.
At this point now, I also have 3,600 email subscribers. So there will be times that a business has an anniversary sale. I might put out an email about that. But I try to keep the social media pages very organic. But really, it's just me, finding good content. And now at this point too, I've done photo and video sessions with a lot of my clients. So now I also have our own photo and video content that I can be sharing. So it's not just, images that they've posted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you get? I'm just very interested in this.
No,
As
I love it. Well, it speaks to everybody. It really does, and that's like the best about having you on here, Chris. Is like it really does speak to everybody. Like it's not hard. Like I feel like everyone listening is like, oh, social media, but it's really. I mean, Chris, you tell me if I'm wrong. You have a lot of things scheduled. Like you're ready to go for the next couple of days. Like it's just like any other thing in your business, whether that's figuring out your profit and loss or scheduling your social media posts. Like dedicate the time to do it, and it's not that big of a deal. It's not as we take our technicians take a lot of photos on the road, and we just send them to Steve because he just, like you said, he wants that that bankroll of just content. And we've learned from you is don't stop posting, and it doesn't, we're not posting flyers. We're just posting funny stuff. You guys are all on our social media pages. I mean, half the stuff we post has nothing to do with lawn. So
would you be doing that if Chris hadn't told you?
I don't know if we'd be doing it as well or as much.
So that's where I think is the disconnect with some businesses, and where you come in so handy, Chris, is that and they're trusting in you, at least. I think a lot of people don't believe in that way. It's a changing landscape. You have to learn about it, what to post. Like you said, it's not as simple as putting a flyer up. You have to engage your audience. And I think to be able to do that consistently takes real work and real skill and a lot of reps that you've got.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm sure you weren't the best at it right in the beginning. I'm sure it was tough, not tough, but I'm sure it was a learning curve to get everything on one page and make it cohesive and make it look good. But I think anybody out there, if they just, when we started Stout Lawn Care, it was me and me and me, and I just did what I could. But we started to get that content out, and now it's just free flowing.
It's a part of your routine now.
It's not even it's Steve's job. He does it. It's part of his daily tasks, and it doesn't consume his. We'll have Steve on here one day and get all that lowdown, but I don't think it consumes his whole week. It's maybe a couple hours here.
Right. What I tell a lot of the businesses, because like I said, we now manage some social media accounts for some businesses as well. But anytime I'm talking with a business, I let them know that, just how important it is to have a presence, like on Facebook and Instagram. That's how people are finding these businesses now. So you have to be posting, because the worst thing that you could have is, someone interested in your restaurant, they go to your Instagram, and your last post was 2 years ago.
Right.
Yeah,
is that business still even open?
It's like the Christmas special. Come and enjoy our buffet. It's if sign up today for the Christmas special, and it's the middle of the summer. You're like, well, they don't. Yeah,
there's a coffee shop that I promote that I was working with, and he had as his pinned post on Facebook. So it's the top post you're always going to see. Was that, hey guys, sorry we're closed this Monday. We'll be back on Tuesday. And I look, and this was from like 4 months ago. Yeah. So that's the first thing. So I quickly messaged him, and he changed it. But just realizing that not being consistent is, in some ways, it's even worse than not having the page at all, because it looks old, it looks out of date. Like, again, is this business even still operational? When I go, if I'm traveling, again, I'm a big craft beer guy. Anytime I'm traveling, if I'm in a new town, new city, like the first thing I do is look up what breweries are in the area. Yeah. And then I look at their Instagrams, let's see what this place is all about.
But me and Brad, I mean, this is coming up more and more and more. And I think it's happening faster than people think. People are buying off Instagram and Facebook. Right. Like, Facebook's a little bit older generation. It's kind of like us. But the Instagram is that 35 to 25 or even a little bit younger right now that are starting to get out of college, start to buy their own houses, and they are searching Instagram. Like, if you have a good Instagram page, if you come up on their feed, like the reels or whatever, their stories, you're the old adage, you got to touch them 7 times. Well, 7 reels in 7 days, you touched them 7 times. Guess what? They're going to think of that pastry shop, that coffee shop, that lawn care company, that plumber.
Especially during that time, a lot of businesses, I'm in South Philadelphia. A lot of businesses, those local businesses, had their ordering right there. Bagels, whatever, coffee shops. Everything was a one-touch entry point from their Instagram, their shop, everything. How was there a learning curve, or how hard was it? What was the process to get businesses to make that jump with you from maybe the typical, what maybe some are used to, gift cards, whatever, to, hey, now we're going full on digital with promotion? What was that process like, making that jump?
You mean like taking on clients for me running their socials?
And then now you mentioned now you're going around and doing video, you're doing photography. Was there any like, why? I don't need that. I don't need that as part of my service. I'm good with just post stuff on my account.
Sure. I think I more targeted the businesses that I knew understood the importance, but then also targeted the clients who really needed the help.
Yeah.
At this point, I've I feel like I'm very well trusted in the business community. And I think most of the business community knows who I am and knows what Hello422 is. So when I'm able to talk to these business owners, which I do on a regular basis, I am just flat out honest with them. I met with a pest control company the other day and I said, I was like, your Facebook and Instagram are shit. Like I said, you're talking about wanting to grow this business. Look, you have the same picture posted over and over again. That's all you're using.
Was that the quote?
Yeah, I believe so. And this was after like an hour-long meeting with this guy, and it was such an awesome meeting because he's so passionate about his business. But he's kind of scared because they never really do social media, and but then he's also worried about like, what if we grow too fast, or like all these things. I'm like,
you got to do something.
And then it looks like we're going to be taking over his socials for at least a month to help jumpstart him and go from there. But then also as I work with these businesses and I have examples, like I was showing you guys some video work that we had just done. These business owners are so excited about what we're producing for them, and they all have friends who are also business owners.
Right.
Most of these towns have a big main street and have all these businesses lined up. They talk to each other,
right?
They show each other,
and find these guys like Brad or that are freelancers and that want to give you good content for a reasonable price. Before when we were in the larger companies, we went through so many marketing / SEO / companies that like just tens of thousands of dollars a year for minimal content and not even relatable content. I mean, the conversations I've had with some of my SEO companies about, we don't cut grass. Like, we don't cut grass. Please stop posting pictures about, how do you not know that you've been with us for 2.5 years? We still don't cut grass, and we had never have. Like, I see guys out there spending all this money. Go to your local Chamber of Commerce or start a page and find these guys that are willing to like do these videos, these cool ass videos or these little promos, and you can use them 5, 6, 7 times, and hopefully they'll give you a little of their cuts, and you can have you can start bankrolling your content.
Yeah, here's what you do. So go on to like your community Facebook pages.
Yes.
So like we have 422 families or like welcome to Royers Ford or all these where there's just a few thousand people in there, and just post, I'm looking for a videographer. I'm looking for someone who does websites. I'm looking for a photographer.
We'll find you out there.
Yeah, they'll contact you that way, and then meet with them and see. And a lot of times these are they might be amateurs or doing it as a side business, but there are people who are super talented. Like the videographer, photographer that I'm working with now. I mean, we're pretty much partners on all this now, and he's phenomenal. Again, I can show any business examples of the photo and video we're doing, and they instantly want to do it too.
Yeah. Like I said, I think finding those guys isn't as hard as people think it's going to be, and as expensive as people think it's going to be. And to your point about the community pages, we got Hello422, but I'd better say most communities across the nation have some sort of living in X, living in St. Paul, and they post. A lot of them have rules and regulations, and hey, you can't do it. You can post on Thursdays. I encourage everyone to sign up for all of those, because we at Stout Lawn Care, we're probably in 7 or 8 of them in our local communities, and there's 3 or 4 of them that are a marketing machine for us. Because if someone asks about lawn care or bugs or outdoor insects or mosquitoes, 5, 6 posts right for Stout Lawn Care. I mean, it's almost instantaneous. It's minutes.
That's the best.
And it's just, people think like, oh, you're wasting your time on social media. You're not getting the money. You're not getting the return on your investment. But shoot, man, you do 10 of those a year, and literally I didn't have to do anything. That's 10 free sales. Like, we didn't spend $1 in marketing, but we spent time. We spent a little bit of time in the beginning of the year to make sure that we were out there on these pages.
Chris, what's the learning curve to learn these businesses? You had to touch all these businesses. One, like, well done on touching all these businesses to get them all on board. But then you've got to learn about their business, what makes them special, how to create it. It's more than just,
Brad,
that's
you
a
reading
cool.
my mind? Like, this is like the segue of all segues. But sorry, I didn't interrupt.
No, yeah. Like, what is that learning curve to say? Like, you have a marketing background, but you then still have to actually put in the work of learning, what does this coffee shop do? What does this whatever company do? What does this company do? What's that learning curve for you when you have such a high amount of clients?
Well, let me say first that I am the best resource in the area if you want to know anything small business wise. Like I know every place that's about to open. Yeah. Listen, these businesses love to spill their beans to me too. Like I go to so many meetings and they're all of a sudden like, guess where we're opening another location, or like, guess what building we just leased, or like, guess who I heard is about to buy this business. I know all of it. Yeah. And it's pretty cool to be like on that inside. Like I just had a meeting in Pottstown. This guy showed me around to like the 3 new locations that they just leased. And like this rooftop component, I get all the inside stuff way before. It's pretty cool. With the learning curve, I'm honestly super interested. Like I geek out over these small businesses and what these people have created because it's their passion and they created something that other people latched onto. So whether it's lawn care or whether it's, an awesome pizza place, like I'm really fixated on it. I think it's super interesting. And I would say probably the businesses that already have a better established social media component, or it's easier for me to learn more about them because I'm scouring their pages, I'm seeing what's going on. But I try to have interactions with all the business owners too. So I hear about what their struggles are, what their strengths are. So it just kind of naturally, I learn more and more about them. And, I probably gravitate more towards those businesses that are a little easier to connect with. Like I work with a few salons, but I'm certainly I'm a better expert on burgers and beer than I am on, highlights and, all these styles. So I have to rely more on, like reading their captions on some of their posts to learn a little bit more. But again, I don't really sell a lot of the specific services that anyone does. It's more of my posts are reminders. So I can post a beautiful hair color treatment and I don't need to know all the details about it, but that image is going to sell it. Mm-hmm. And I can say beautiful cut and styling by Salon22 and tag them in it and say that it's in Pottstown, and that's just as good. That's what my page is set up to do.
That's great.
So visiting all these businesses and small businesses, we like to talk about, the culture that everyone had. The C word. It's back again. We're going to figure it out. One of these days, Brad's going to take us a bunch of
episodes. Start bleeping it.
We're just going to, we should. That's a spectacular idea, Brad. We're going to start bleeping it out. I love it. I love it. So you visit all these businesses. What are some common threads that you see for some of the successful ones and maybe not so successful ones? Not every, all these businesses now, I'm not sure everybody's killing it or everybody's not doing great, but we preach at Stout Lawn Care. We are who we are. We're friendly. We drink beer. We're normal. We hang out with our families. We don't let life be too serious. So that's kind of our way of showing the public that we're just normal people and we love what we do. Is there a common thread that you see on some of the businesses that are doing it better? And do you see a result in how their business is growing?
And this is one of the things that when I was running your socials that I harped to you a bunch, which was I think people like to be able to connect with small businesses on a personal level. So I think showing who the owner is, showing who the staff is, like I think that's important. I think that part of the reason you support a small business is because it's a neighbor, it's someone in your town, it's someone local. And as soon as you put, like when I ran your socials, I must have posted that picture of you and your kids fairly regularly, like almost once a month. And it always got like the most interactions because then you're not just supporting a business, you're supporting this person and this person's family.
And during those times, everyone switched to that mentality. Mm-hmm. And now I think it's gone back a little bit because of the economy and blah, 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 blah. But I think that's all bullshit too. I think people will spend their money locally if they want to spend it locally, if you look good and they prefer to spend it locally than on a national chain.
Right. And it doesn't even always have to be the business owner. Bistro on Bridge in Phoenixville, they do such a great job of spotlighting their wait staff.
Yeah.
And like people go there because they like the wait staff. So they'll post a picture and they'll use that wait staff person's name or what drink they like. And so you have a more personal connection with the business when you start to see the faces. And that might not be something you can do with all of the businesses, but I do think a lot of the more successful, stronger small businesses, the ones that are better known, a big part of it is because people feel like they know someone from that business, whether it's the owner or a staff, because they've seen them on social media and then they've seen them when they go in. You know, I couldn't tell you anyone who works at the local Outback, but I could tell you a bunch of people who work at Bistro on Bridge or Stonehouse Grill, you know, or a bunch of these other places. You know, you guys do it too. I mean, you got the Silver Fox, you know, out there getting all the clicks and the likes.
Yeah,
you know,
but it's just that it's not a game, but it's just the fun of it. It's like don't take your life, your business so seriously all the time. And do you see that coming from the owners? And like, because I look at all these small businesses and I see happy employees. I don't see like the companies that are showing their employees look like they actually have employees that want to work. Now, the restaurant business is very tough. We've talked about it numerous times, finding employees. But every time I go into Bistro on Bridge or every time I look at Avanti, they're fully staffed. They look like they're ready to go. They look like their staff is happy of what they're doing. Do you see that too? Like, is that the common thread of these small businesses?
Yeah, I think for the most part, it's a happy staff. It's a staff that feels connected, not just with each other, but with ownership. I mean, you did touch on it's very difficult to hire right now. I had a restaurant owner that I was just talking to about 2 weeks ago who owns 3 restaurants in the area. And before we were talking about some Halloween promotion they're doing, but he was like, Chris, I just got to vent to you first. I just can't hire anyone. Like we offer more pay, we offer benefits, but we have people come out, they work one shift and then that's all we ever see them. Or they just don't show up. Like we just can't hire anyone. And I think that's not just the restaurant business. I think that's tough for a lot of industries. But if you can somehow keep your staff happy, keep them engaged and connected with one another, it at least gives you a leg up in keeping the majority of those staff members, I feel like. Because I ultimately think that pay is not the only contributing factor to someone staying. You know, it's how much do they like who they're working with, you know, and
So they say people don't quit bad jobs, they quit bad managers.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So, all right, cool. This has been great, Chris. Awesome. We always do. I didn't get any personal stories, unfortunately. Usually I try to sneak a message to your wife or your brother or something and try to get some secret funny stories about you. I did not have the opportunity to do that on this podcast. But at the end of every podcast, because we are a business podcast, we're a small business, we're trying to, grow. I always like to ask people this question. Do you consider yourself an implementer, or do you consider yourself, what's the other word? Why I'm forgetting.
A visionary.
A visionary. Do you consider yourself an implementer or a visionary? And then I'm going to ask you the same question about me, because I'm trying to figure it out for myself. I think we've known each other long enough. You can give me an idea.
All right, first, you want to know one little thing that rubbed my wife the wrong way?
Yeah.
From doing all this? So,
absolutely.
So
okay, this is good. Look,
he's got something for you.
So
great.
As you know, we just started these fun storyteller video series.
Yes.
Which I've had a lot of those ideas you've seen so far have been things I've been sitting on for a year.
Yes.
But I didn't have the way to film it until I linked up with my videographer partner now. So the very first one we shot was in Phoenixville. It was a guy forgetting his wedding anniversary. And there's a whole scene ensues of, so it was played by me. I'm out at a local brewery with my buddy getting a drink, and I get a text from my pretend wife. It's our 1-year anniversary, and I forgot our dinner reservations. So the idea of the video is, I'm not dressed anywhere near ready for an anniversary dinner. So it's me texting her back and be like, I'll be there in 5 minutes. My buddy's like, no way you can do this. And it's just me sprinting through Phoenixville, because everything you could need is in Phoenixville. So I run into the men's clothing store. He tosses me a shirt. Boom, it pops on. Now I got my outfit. I run to the floor. She throws me a rose. I catch it in my mouth. I hit up the local barbershop. It gives me a quick cut. So, it looks like within 30 seconds, I went from, total scrub, not ready for dinner, to now I got my clothes, I got my flour, I've got my haircut, go racing in right as my wife gets there too. And I meet her. She has no idea, it's perfect scenario. I cast this very attractive young lady as my wife in it. And as I'm sitting at home, the day the video comes out, with my 7-year-old daughter sitting on my lap and my wife watching. I'm like,
watch this,
I'm
honey.
like Kendall, just so you know, this is just like a video. This is, I'm not married to this woman or anything. And watching it, and my wife's like, you couldn't have picked someone a little less attractive to be, to play your wife.
When talent speaks, speaks.
You never thought you'd get heat, just on a promo video.
So then a little bit later, I did another video where it kind of played off that I was with a girlfriend or a wife for one scene, the Sly Fox and Dash Fitness studio. So I had to make sure I told her first. I'm shooting another one, but like, I don't really say that I'm married to her, and like so.
But the question is, does she want to be involved at all? Probably not.
We'll see. I have a video component, a grocery shopping one.
All right.
Which
I got some videos too. Steve has a list of funny videos that we want to do for Stout Lawn Care.
Yeah, so I'm in.
Yeah. The Schuylkill River mud was pretty good.
Yeah, that was fun.
Pretty good.
All right. So I think of myself as more of an idea guy.
Yeah.
I guess that puts me more into the visionary. I think one of the things I like most about Hello422 is it gave me the opportunity to do whatever I really wanted. I wasn't working for someone else where I had to run what I thought was creative ideas by someone to get approval. It was, the community tip campaign. I thought it was an awesome idea, and I could just do it.
Yeah.
I came up with some t-shirt designs I just thought was a cool idea, and I just did it.
Yeah.
And it worked. The shop small to win big. Like, I constantly have these ideas or things I want to do.
It's one of your greatest gifts as a small business owner is to be able to do things like that and to just let your personality speak through your business. Because just like socials, just like everything else we're talking about, like if you let that happen, I think you're going to be in turn way more successful.
Yeah. Now I've had to implement a lot of these ideas and things I've had. So I've had to, wear that hat as well. But I think I view myself a little bit more as, the visionary side, I have to say.
Yeah. And so what do you think about me? Because me and Brad was episode 5. And I don't think we didn't even scratch the surface yet. Haven't figured Chris out yet.
I think we have a percentage down.
Do we?
Yeah, I think we're around a percentage of what we think.
All right.
I would say more visionary. I think that, at least in the time that I've known you, there's been a lot of growth in your business, especially in the people that you've brought on. So I think that you need to have that vision of where the company's going in order then to know that you need to bring in more staff. Like if you were only focused on, implementing some of your ideas, it might just be that, I can keep doing this pretty much by myself, bring in this guy just for the season a little bit here or there, or like, oh, let me make a quick post. Do I have a buddy who can come help me on a job this week?
Yeah.
But you have to be visionary to see where the business is going and to see where you can improve and, what you can do to get to that next level. And now you've got, a small crew here, you've got a partner and you're locking in bigger contracts. So I think I would say more visionary, but this is I'm going to be that guy who says a little bit of both, but as a good business owner, you got to have both.
Yeah.
You really do.
Yeah. And I think as we talk about it more and more, I probably am more of a visionary, but like, I think I enjoy the grind so much, the day to day, because of the restaurant business and like that rush. Now, don't get me wrong, we're coming here at the end of the season. It's been a grind for sure. I'm ready for it to be over, but I do enjoy the grind. And so I don't know if that's my just personality that I enjoy the hustle and bustle, and it has nothing to do with implementing the stuff. It's just that I like that, or I am an implementer. I don't know. So we're gonna figure it out one of these days, Brad.
I feel like we're at like 65-35 visionary.
Yeah. But one of the people that knew me the best, Derek, said implementer.
Yeah.
And worked with me the most. We worked together for 6.5 years.
That's true. I don't see you on the daily basis for all the grind.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I try not to yell. I don't yell very often. But listen, to wrap things up, thanks for coming on, Chris. I really appreciate it. I hope some people learn some things. I really want to harp on, do something like this or get on these community pages. Make sure you're out there. The sales will come. They really do. We have, everyone says referrals the best, which it is, but sometimes you can't put a pin on referrals directly, right? It's not coming from this or that. And I think that us getting onto your page and the success you've had with it and the continued success you're going to have with it, and just being a great member of the community has not only helped Stout Lawn Care immensely, it's helped the community out. And I feel like that us as a team feel more part of the community, and I think it's benefited everybody. So,
Chris, how do people get in touch if they want to promote their business, work with you? How do they get in touch with you?
Yeah, so a lot, just reach out to me through the socials. You can search for Hello422 on Facebook and Instagram, or my email is chris@hello422.com. And I get a mix of emails and social media, people reaching out to me either of those 2 ways.
Awesome. Real quick question. Have you thought about doing this in other communities?
Great question. And, yes and no. I've thought about it a little bit, but
you got to be there, right?
Yeah, it's a big. I mean, it is a big time commitment for what I do. I do have a full-time job, so I have to manage this between full-time job, being a dad, and all those things. I think that I would maybe take components of this, like the work we're doing with the photo and video guy, and maybe go to other towns and offer this. Like, hey, we'll be in the area for a day. Let us help you get some social media content that you can use.
Yeah.
Or maybe we decide, Hello Lancaster maybe is a good idea, or Hello Westchester, or
St. Pete. And go to Florida. You get business expenses. You fly down there.
That's not a bad idea. Not a bad idea.
Awesome. I appreciate it again, Chris. You've been awesome. I hope everybody learned anything. Thanks, Brad.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, and I hope everybody has a great day.
Thanks for listening to the Root Zone podcast. Like, subscribe, and leave a 5-star rating so we can continue to grow. Thanks again to Chris Lerch at Hello422. And of course, you can always visit Chris and his team at stoutlawncare.com. That's STOUT lawncare.com.